Throughout American history, violent conflicts between criminal organizations have left indelible marks on the nation's urban landscape, turning streets into battlefields and racking up body counts that shocked the nation. These gang wars weren't just criminal matters confined to dark alleys and backstreets. They were blood-soaked conflicts where ruthless men fought for power, territory, and millions of dollars, leaving trails of bodies that would forever change American cities. These are the top 5 deadliest gang wars in American history. Number 1. Bloods versus Crips. Los Angeles witnessed the rise of the Bloods and Crips in the 1970s, a conflict that would claim thousands of lives over the decades. Founded by Raymond Washington and Stanley Tookie Williams, the Crips initially dominated South Central LA before the Bloods formed in response. Led by figures like Sylvester Scott and Vincent Owens, what began as fistfights over neighborhood territory evolved into drive-by shootings and execution-style murders. The crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s turned the violence into an all-out war, with some estimates suggesting over 15,000 gang-related deaths in Los Angeles County between 1980 and 2000. Entire families were caught in the crossfire as young soldiers, some barely teenagers, gunned down rivals over colors, corners, and disrespect. The warfare spread across the country as sets multiplied in dozens of cities, exporting LA's deadly gang culture nationwide. Number 2. The Miami Cocaine Wars. Miami's cocaine cowboys era of the late 1970s and early 1980s transformed the city into America's most violent battlefield as Cuban and Colombian traffickers waged war for control of the lucrative cocaine trade. Griselda Blanco, the Black Widow, was responsible for an estimated 200 murders, pioneering the motorcycle drive-by shooting technique that became a cartel signature. The Dadeland Mall massacre of 1979 saw hitmen armed with submachine guns and wearing body armor shoot up a liquor store in broad daylight, killing 2 men and terrifying shoppers. At the peak of the violence in 1981, Miami recorded 621 murders, many of them execution-style hits with victims found bound, tortured, and shot multiple times. The bodies piled up so fast that the medical examiner had to rent refrigerated trailers from Burger King to store corpses. Rival traffickers like the Monday Organization and various Colombian groups fought over distribution routes, with chainsaws, car bombs, and automatic weapons becoming the preferred tools of the trade. Number 3. The Italian Mafia Wars of the 70s and 80s. New York's Italian Mafia Wars of the 1970s and 1980s saw the 5 families turn on each other in unprecedented bloodshed as traditional rules collapsed. John Gotti orchestrated the assassination of Gambino boss Paul Castellano outside Sparks Steakhouse in 1985, a brazen daylight hit that saw Big Paul and his bodyguard Thomas Bilotti gunned down in Midtown Manhattan. The Colombo family war raged from 1991 to 1993, claiming a dozen lives as factions loyal to Carmine Persico and Victor Orena battled for control. Bodies turned up in car trunks, dumped on streets, and buried in shallow graves across the 5 boroughs. Roy DeMeo's crew alone was responsible for an estimated 70 to 200 murders, operating a dismemberment operation in Brooklyn that became known as the Gemini Method. The Bonanno family dealt with 3 internal wars during this period, including the brutal hit on 3 captains in 1981 that left Alphonse Sonny Red indelicado and 2 others dead in a basement ambush. Number 4. The Washington, D.C. Crack Wars. The Washington, D.C. crack wars of the late 1980s and early 1990s turned the nation's capital into a killing field, with over 400 homicides in 1991 alone. Rayful Edmond III built a drug empire that controlled much of the city's crack trade, and the violence his organization unleashed was staggering. Rival crews fought block by block, with victims often tortured before being killed as messages to competitors. Open-air drug markets operated brazenly, and shootouts became so common that residents learned to sleep on floors to avoid stray bullets. The violence peaked between 1988 and 1991, with young dealers, many still in their teens, carrying automatic weapons and settling disputes with spray-and-pray tactics that killed innocents and rivals alike. Bodies were found in alleys, parks, and abandoned buildings, victims of a war where loyalty meant nothing and everyone was expendable. Number 5. Detroit's Heroin Wars. Detroit's heroin wars of the 1970s introduced a level of ruthless efficiency that shocked even hardened observers. Young Boys Incorporated, led by figures like Milton Butch Jones, recruited teenagers to run a drug empire that grossed an estimated $400 million annually. The organization was responsible for hundreds of murders, with enforcers carrying out hits on rivals, snitches, and anyone who crossed them. The Chambers brothers, who came to power in the 1980s, added to the carnage with their own brand of violence. Detroit saw murder rates climb steadily, with drug-related killings accounting for a substantial portion. Victims were found shot, execution style, often with multiple gunshot wounds to the head. The city's east side became a war zone where bodies turned up in burned-out buildings and empty lots, the victims of a heroin trade that valued product and profit over human life. These 5 gang wars changed American cities through sheer brutality and bloodshed. Thousands died in conflicts driven by greed, pride, and the insatiable appetite for power. The men who fought these wars, from street-level soldiers to calculating kingpins, left legacies written in blood, reminders of an era when American streets ran red and criminal empires were built on mountains of corpses. Like and subscribe for more Kingpin history.